This bell is not an easy bell to ring. I wouldn't be surprised if Buster Manti rang this bell. But I carried the symbol of the party today because it is such a historic moment.
Hey guys, welcome back to Carib 21 Network. So after all the excitement leading up to the election, everything came down to last night and we saw the Jamaica Labour Party will be returned to office and the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honourable Dr. Andrew Holness, creating history, becoming the first Jamaica Labour Party Prime Minister to win a third term. So Andrew Holness returned to office, and this is not shocking to me at all. And if you have been watching the channel for the coverage of the entire election, I've said it over and over again that it is almost going to be impossible for the People's National Party to win this election. And I'm going to do a separate video breaking down everything that I've said why the People's National Party did not win this election. So Andrew Holness returned as Prime Minister for the next 5 years. And one thing that I have to say, I see a lot of Jamaicans are disappointed. A lot of Jamaicans who wanted the People's National Party to win are disappointed. Wake up disappointed this morning. People that were watching the coverage the entire night, they woke up this morning and they're not happy. And first of all, I want to thank everyone that tuned in to the Carib 21 watch party. It was very successful. We streamed for over 10 hours yesterday, and the total number for the 10 hours was approximately 52,000 people that clicked on and off the stream. So it was very successful. So thanks to everyone that tuned in and watched the live. And as I said, a lot of people, they're waking up disappointed this morning. But one thing I must say is that as a Jamaican, I am proud. I don't know about you. I am extremely proud. I'm talking about goosebump proud. Because as someone that grew up in the most volatile of elections in Jamaica, in 1980 election, I remember as a child under the bed in Seaview Gardens while bullets are flying through the windows. I remember that election. I remember election in the late 80s, like in Cockburn Pen, and you would see like men with high-powered weapons come to your house and taking out your parents, your mother or your father, and say, yo, come vote. You know, that is where Jamaica is coming from. So to see the process yesterday and to see that nationwide called the election after 9 o'clock. Remember, the polls were closed at 5 o'clock. Nationwide called it about 9:30. And that is something that I believe that whether you're PMP, JLP, or you're neutral, all Jamaicans should wake up proud today. And just let me just give you an example. Guyana election was on Friday, and Guyana had international observers from all over the world, the European Union, going to polling station to make sure that everything is going right. So for Jamaica would triple the amount of in terms of the population, and for us to have an election that went so smooth, despite the long lines and some of the things that people are talking about, that is normal in any election, whether in America, Canada, the United Kingdom, that is normal. But for an election, for us to have an election on September 3rd, and by 9:30, nationwide is calling the election, and for a little bit after 10, the opposition leader, after such a fierce fight, competition, for Mark Golding to come out after 10 and concede and acknowledge the Jamaica Labour Party, I thought that was very classy of Mark Golding, and I believe us as Jamaicans should wake up proud today, despite PMP or JLP. For that reason, I think we should be proud. Next thing, what I find very interesting in watching the politics, watching the election process going on in Jamaica, is the political pundits. Many times you'll see, Doctor so and Doctor this and Doctor that and political science and all of this thing. But like, as I said, following Jamaica election for a long time, Jamaica election is down to the grassroots people. Like, so no professional doctor of political science or whatever cannot determine an election. And I think our election process is simple. So sometimes when you see these scholars coming out and they're talking about this, the stats show this and the stats show that, all of that is just a bunch of baloney. Because at the end of the day, the people that decide the election are the grassroots Jamaicans. And that's why I've always said, like, even the debate, I don't think the debate moved the needle at all. I think to gauge the political process in Jamaica, you'd have to look to the political rally, because the grassroots people, they are the ones that control the election. They are the ones that go out and vote. They are the ones that are on the political rally, on the campaign trail, on the getting out the vote. Those, like, people sitting down in their office, pushing pen and paper, they are not the ones that decide this election. So it is always funny to see. So I saw a few nights ago before the election, someone that claims to be a scholar and calling the election 2 days before, and this is what he had to say. And as I said, this is just funny to me.
My studies, my research, my work is showing me, and the statistics have pointed to this outcome that I am predicting for the elections on September 3. At worst, a 37 to 26 margin, and at best, a 39 to 24 seat margin. Mark Golding will form the next government in Jamaica. He will lead the People's National Party to victory and form the next government.
Yes, so that is just funny to me. I'm just watching and I'm like, where's he getting these numbers? What stats, what figure? At the end of the day, the people on the ground are the one that decide the election. And as I said, I've been keeping up with this thing from day one. I've gave my thoughts why I believe that the Prime Minister of Jamaica would have been returned for a third term. And even yesterday during the live stream, as the poll was about to close for 5 o'clock, and on the live stream, people were sharing what they thought was going to happen. And I put up on the screen at 5 o'clock that I thought that the Jamaica Labour Party, they would have won 34 to 29. And that is exactly what happened. And as I said, like, I'm going to do a separate video talking about the People's National Party and what I believe should be the future of the People's National Party. Because yes, the People's National Party, and I said it before, I said it like 2 weeks ago, they are going to win back a lot of seats and they can be proud of that. But what the future of the People's National Party is going to be determined on the next move. And I don't see a People's National Party with a Mark Golding, as was pointed out yesterday, that if Mark Golding stays, Mark Golding will be in his 60s running for the next election. And I don't see a path to victory there. So, but it is going to be very interesting to see what they do going forward. And as I said, the election night was good, and I loved what I saw from the Prime Minister and from Mark Golding. So just take a look at the victory speech from the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honourable Dr. Andrew Holness.
This bell is not an easy bell to ring. I wouldn't be surprised if Bustamante rang this bell. But I carried the symbol of the party today because it is such a historic moment that this is a victory for our founder Bustamante, for Sir Donald Stankster, for Hugh Shearer, for Edward Philip George Tiaga, for Bruce Golding. And I want to invite Mrs. Carla Siaga to just come and acknowledge the moment and take a bow to the crowd. Because all of this Mr. Siaga still has, well, he must be happy. So, Desmond, just, you are only allowed to hold the bell temporarily. Do not ring it. I have a few things to say early on. Firstly, let me thank the thousands of Jamaicans who prayed for me personally and who prayed for the government and the country. I want to thank my wife and one of my sons is here, Adam. Come on, guy. Of course, the superwoman. And my mother. I want to thank them personally. I mean, you know, a political campaign, sometimes, you know, when they see the personalities, they forget that they are human beings with feelings and emotions, and they can be objectified. It's very difficult, but I want to thank my family here and abroad and all over who have withstood a tremendous onslaught, but they never gave up on me or on the people of Jamaica. I want to thank the political team. I think we have the best political team in the Caribbean. But allow me to, I do this at a risk, but I'm sure everyone will agree that my Deputy Prime Minister, Horace Chang, the General Secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party, deserves special commendation. You know, there's a special bond that has to be between the leader and the General Secretary of a political party. And Horace and I have been working for the greater part of 30 years together. We have been very good friends and very good professional associates. We have a mind share, and we are both very much committed to Jamaica, like everyone in the team. I want to thank you, the supporters. You would know how much you mean to me. For all of you who squeeze up on the bus to come to the meeting, who go on the long motorcades with us, for all of you who take on the PMP them when you hear them with the lies. But for all of you who have stood up and chosen Jamaica, I say thanks to you, the supporters of the party. You make us stronger, and we stand here on your shoulders. And thank you. God bless you, and I love you.
So that was the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness. And it is going to be very interesting because election is over, but now they have to get back to work. And it's going to be very interesting because there have been a lot of people, even in one of the interview that I think it was the Let's Be Honest podcast, when he was interviewing Christopher Tufton and he was talking about the skepticism of a lot of Jamaicans in terms of the crime rate conveniently going down in an election year. So it is going to be very interesting to see the election is over now and to see if the Jamaica Labour Party can continue improving the crime rate in Jamaica and if the unemployment rate can just stabilize, stay where it is, and or even get lower. So that is going to be very interesting to watch the Jamaica Labour Party going forward for the rest of the year. And what I thought was the highlight of the night for me was the concession speech, because as I said, like coming from the 80s in Jamaica and seeing what is going on, seeing the political climate all over the world in 2025, it was very good to see the opposition leader, Mark Golin, coming out early and conceding, and he did it in such a classy way. So this is Mark Golin's speech after the results came in.
All the comrades on the platform, all the comrades in the audience, all the people of Jamaica who are listening, watching. First of all, I think it's my duty as a believer in democracy to acknowledge and concede the result and to congratulate our opponents, the Jamaica Labour Party, for their victory tonight. Jamaica's democracy is important and we must cherish it. Sometimes it brings bitter disappointments. Sometimes those disappointments are laced with a tinge of a sense that not all is fair and just, but it is very, very important that we put democracy ahead of all of those feelings. And I accept the result of these elections, and although obviously I'm very disappointed in the outcome, I think it is only correct to expressly acknowledge the success that our opponents have managed to gain today. I want to thank a lot of people. And first of all, I have to thank the comrades and supporters of South St. Andrew for standing with me, for coming out today in their numbers, and for giving us a decisive victory in the constituency which I have the honor to serve. I also want to thank our campaign team, led by our campaign director, our General Secretary, Dayton Campbell, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Also, a newly minted Member of Parliament. Congratulations to him on his victory in East and Westmoreland. And all the other members of the campaign team who worked with him. There are a number of names there. I don't want to attempt to go through all those names because I'm going to probably forget somebody and then I'll regret it. But they have done a tremendous job. The communications team, I want to thank them publicly for the work they have done. And that is a night and day kind of job. It starts very early in the morning and goes on till late at night. So their commitment to the task at hand is remarkable, and I want to thank them deeply for it. All of our candidates who ran in this election and their campaign teams, I want to thank them for their effort, for their commitment to the country, to the democratic process. I want to, of course, congratulate the 29 who have been successful tonight, and we have more than doubled our number of MPs tonight. And for those who were not first and didn't, they still committed themselves extremely well. And I want to say that this was a wonderful demonstration of the maturity of Jamaica's political process, that we could go through such a closely fought election without any violence to speak of. And, we must all give ourselves a round of applause. In our homes, if you're listening, here at PNP headquarters, because that was not always the case. And I want to just thank all of the pioneers who led that process to where it is today, where I think we can safely say that Jamaica is a place that really cherishes and respects the democracy that we have built. I want to thank the people of Jamaica for having received us so well and having given us hundreds of thousands of votes and given us 29 seats. We don't take that for granted. We thank you for your time today. I know the voting was often painfully slow, and that's an issue which more will have to be said about, because it's an undemocratic situation when people, elderly and other people, have to be in the hot sun lining up to vote for sometimes hours. And it should not be that way. We should do better, and we have to do better. I must tell you that I'm proud of the platform that we put forward for the people of Jamaica. It was a truly progressive platform, a platform that offered a radical reform to the land tenure issues that have plagued this country for centuries. A radical platform that would have enhanced the standard of living and quality of life of those working families that are struggling to survive now by giving them significantly lower tax burdens on their income. Progressive in a social justice sense as well, around issues such as beach reform, contract work, and other things which really need to be addressed because there are injustices in our society which cannot be tolerated and should be modified and rejected in their current form. So I just want to thank all of the team that came together and developed those ideas and put them forward boldly and without reticence. And I think that for many Jamaicans, they saw the benefits and the power that that platform and those ideas and proposals would have delivered. So ladies and gentlemen, for us it's a difficult night. This is not an easy speech to make. One wasn't hoping for a result which is not success. And it means that the government will get its third term, and we will have as a nation to deal with that going forward. But the People's National Party, I'm happy to tell you, is alive and well, is a powerful political organization.
Okay, so that was Mark Golin, and just to make it clear, when earlier, like I've been saying that I don't believe that Mark Golin is going to be able to beat Andrew Holness. A lot of people, especially directed PMP, they would come and they would say like, "Oh, you're a sellout, you get pay off or whatever." And when I said that, I'm not saying that that Mark Golin is a bad person, because I believe that Mark Golin is a good person. Mark Golin is a good businessman, because I invested in DBNG for years, for a long time. Even when DBNG sold off to Scotiabank, I still kept my investment with them. So Mark Golin is a good person. Mark Golin is a good businessman, and I have no doubt that Mark Golin would have made a good prime minister. The main point was that the People's National Party, they were divided. And what went down with Lisa Anna, Mark Golin, and Damian Crawford is more than just the three. People have to remember that there are a lot of delegates that are involved in the political process. And even though it might be three people, and you can throw Bunting in there too, because Bunting is a big part of it. So just imagine Lisa Anna, Damian Crawford, Bunting, Mark Golin, and the delegates that come with those people. That is a lot of people in the People's National Party. And if you frustrate like a lot of those delegates, they're not going to come out and put their best foot forward. And I believe that that is what happened. If they were able to transition to either Mark Golin or Lisa Anna in a peaceful way, there's no doubt in my mind that the People's National Party would be taking up government today as we speak. But because of that process, that is why I believe that they're not in government today. And this is not new. I said it over and over again. In the 80s, in the 90s, when Edward Seaga was the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party, and PJ came onto the scene, and PJ said, "Black man time now." Mr. Edward Seaga was not able to win another election. And I remember back in the days, a frustrated Bruce Golding, and Bruce Golding was saying, as a younger person at the time, just hand over the baton to me. And the Prime Minister, the opposition leader at the time, Mr. Edward Seaga, refused to do that. And I remember, and I know people have short memory, but Bruce Golding left and he went and formed the NDM before Bruce Golding came back, before they reconciled, and he came back and he eventually became Prime Minister of Jamaica. So both political parties have gone through their turmoil. And as I said, I'm not saying that Mark Golding would not have made a good Prime Minister. I just think the People's National Party have to fix their problem before. But another thing, it is going to be very tricky going forward because Damian Crawford let it be known that, look, I am up next. I want to be the face of the People's National Party. And with what we saw last night with Dr. Dawes and people like Isaac Buchanan, which is a rising star in the People's National Party, and then a lot of people are speculating that Bunting is going to want a shot at being the leader of the party. So it is going to be very interesting. I don't think it would be a wise idea if Mark Golding stay as opposition leader for the next year. I think he should exit within the next 6 months and give the party like a good runway to do whatever internal thing that they have to do, and then whatever falling out based on their internal elections, then they can fix it before the next election. So that is going to be very critical. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this one. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.